is just so clear on that, and I've seen it so many times that a lot of people mess themselves up in this country because um, you don't know things or you don't know the right information. All right, so and another scripture says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Like what you know matters. What you know matters. Who you listen to matters. What you know matters. Who you listen to matters. Because I mean, I've been doing this now for many many years, and I could just tell you that, especially in the brown community, all right, people who have any type of color on their skin, whether you be Jamaican or Hispanic, the brown community, we're usually very, very behind on so many things. This whole vow thing just really took off a couple of years ago. But the funny thing is, it's been in existence since the 90s, right? So many other people have been getting their green card through VAWA, but we're just last on the train. We're just last on this train. I'm telling you. Hispanics, for instance, have been doing VAWA for many, many, many years and years, all right? Since the 90s, Hispanics and so many other people have been doing VAWA, all right? But we are so late to this train again because we don't know. And then we also have the disease, especially in the African community, of, oh, I don't know anyone who's done it before, so I don't think it exists. Like, I still remember when I started talking about VOW, which is many years ago, I just got the biggest push from fellow Africans saying, I've never heard it before. My friend told me this is fake. My friend told me he's never heard of it. My friend told me it's not real. And so, guess what? Those same people now are filing for VOW many years later. But maybe the first time you heard about it was like a long time ago. Maybe the first time you heard about it was back then, like 4 or 5 years ago. But now, that's when you're on this train. Meanwhile, it has existed all along. You've heard it for so long. But then again, you listen to your friends. All right. So this is one of the things I just keep seeing people do that mess themselves up. And it's in every community, especially in the African community. I can only talk about my own people because I'm African. In the Kenyan community, for instance, I'm Kenyan. There's just so many things we've missed out on because your fellow Kenyan told you, don't do this or don't do that, or your fellow Kenyan advised you wrongly. Your fellow Kenyan told you to indicate on an application that you're a U.S. citizen so you can quickly get a job. So it works for them. So here you go, doing something illegal. And then guess what? Immigration or ICE didn't catch him, but they catch you. All right. So in the Kenyan community, I've seen it so many times where we like listen to our friends and they give you wrong advice. And you, in your heart of hearts, you even know it's wrong advice. And let's just say you even go see an immigration lawyer and you still listen to your friend. Meanwhile, your friend is not telling you that perhaps they're in deportation proceedings. Perhaps they're not telling you that what they did worked for them because it was so long ago, right? Perhaps they're not telling you those things, all right? So that's in the Kenyan community. In the Nigerian community, I see this too. I just see so many people who have filed for VAWA now, okay, who will never tell their friends, never tell people they know need VAWA, hey, I'm filing for VAWA. And I get that, well, because, you don't want to be a laughing stock or you don't want people to put a mark on you. Yes, that's all great. But so let me ask you, so who's going to tell, how's your friend going to find out? How's your friend who needs this process going to find out? So we just have so many convoluted thoughts, mindsets in the African community that really keep us from advancing. Again, I submitted to you in the beginning of this conversation that VAWA has been in existence since the 90s. Why is it just now becoming popular? Why is it just now? Why are people just now realizing this works? It's been around, okay? And no, don't tell me it's because we're just starting to talk about it. No, that's not true. Because I told y'all I've been talking about this for years, and I just had such a big push from Africans, fellow Africans, thinking that we were scamming them, that this is something that's not true, that it's a fake process. Anyway, what the same people went and tried to do, let me stop there. I don't want to scene today. Let me stop there. Okay. So that's some of the things we do that mess ourselves up. Another thing we do that really messes ourselves up, especially as an African or brown community, even this is even Jamaicans, this is just anybody of color. We do things like you come to the US, you get a 2-year conditional green card, and then you leave. You leave the US for years without doing the proper process of getting a 10-year green card. You just leave. I don't know. Maybe something happened. Maybe something discouraged you. And you left the U.S. without knowing how you're going to get back in. Okay. So maybe you were already due to apply for your 10-year green card. Maybe something happened and that was denied. So instead of staying here and seeking proper legal counsel, you're up and left. You went back home for years or for months. And then now you're stuck. You don't know how to get back. These are things, again, that we do that mess ourselves up. All right. So if you're listening to me and you're in a situation where you don't know how your process is going to work out, you're not sure, the best thing is consult an immigration lawyer. Don't just leave the U.S., especially if you're an overstay, especially if you don't have proper immigration status. Don't just leave. Don't just leave the U.S. and think, one day I'll figure it out. I'll find my way back in. It's very hard. It's harder to get back in, after you're an overstay than you think. Okay. So the best way, and even if you have something criminal or some issue that you're not sure how you're going to overcome, again, the best way to tackle the problem is while you're here in the U.S. It's always better, because once you leave the country and you didn't have proper authorization to come back in, you're likely going to need some waivers. Your lawyer is going to charge you lots and lots of money. A lawyer is going to charge you lots and lots of money to be able to bring you back in after you left illegally or after you left without proper authorization. Your lawyer is going to charge you. This should probably cost you more than, I don't want to tell you, but it's going to be very, very expensive. It's going to be very, very expensive, and it's just going to be a difficult process, much more difficult process, because now we're dealing with two governments. We're dealing with the U.S. government. We're dealing with your home country. So the moral of the story is, if you have some issue or something bothering you, or you're not sure how your case is going to go, something is making you bothered about your immigration status, and maybe you're thinking of leaving the country, my question is, my submission to you is, I submit to you, don't leave unless you're sure you're ready to be gone forever. If you know you're ready to be gone forever, you're never going to change your mind or want to come back or be back in the U.S., fine, go. But if you're not sure of that, then my advice to you is you need to seek proper immigration counsel, seek a good immigration lawyer, find out what can be done about your immigration status, find out how you could possibly get a 10-year green card at the very least before you leave the country for years. Okay. So even if you're tired of your U.S., you're depressed, like U.S. has treated you horribly, nothing has worked for you here, again, I submit to you, unless you're very sure you're willing to go forever if need be, or unless you're very sure you're never going to want to come back, then don't go without seeking an immigration lawyer. And then, I'm a Christian, I'm a saint. Then also don't go without praying and fasting. Pray and fast on it. Ask the Lord, am I supposed to be here? If I'm supposed to be here in the U.S., Lord, make a way, and then show me the person who can help me. Show me the lawyer who can help me. These are the things I would advise you, because so many people leave the country for years, and you don't know how you're going to get back in. And then many years later, I just get so many calls of people who want to figure out how they can get back in. And had they stayed in the country, the fix would have been very easy. With the right lawyer, possibly the fix to your immigration status, immigration problem would have been very, very easy. But you left the country and you messed yourself up. Okay? You left the country for years or for months without a travel permit or without a green card. without proper authorization of coming back in. And then now, once you're outside the U.S., you're trying to figure out how am I going to get back in. That is a very bad situation to put yourself in. And I understand that some people have done that because of bad counsel. Again, that brings it to my first point. Let's stop listening to your friends. Seek a proper immigration lawyer's advice. And I even say on my consultations, by the way, that not every lawyer knows everything. So I always tell my clients to go and seek a second opinion, right? Go and seek a second opinion if possible. If you have a very, very big issue or something you're not sure about, even after you speak to the first immigration lawyer, find another immigration lawyer that you trust, that you know it knows what they're doing. Seek a second opinion, again, before you leave the country for years or for months. All right, because the way back in is always harder than if you would have just stayed in the U.S. and we would have fixed the issue. Okay, we would have fixed whatever it is while you are here in the U.S. Okay. Classic example is, let's say you have a 2-year conditional green card. I just like to speak in examples, right? And let's say your application is, your spouse is the one who filed the application for you to remove the conditions, right? Let's say you guys went to the interview, maybe your spouse sabotaged you, or maybe for whatever reason. Maybe let's not say the spouse. Let's just say for whatever reason, immigration didn't believe your marriage was valid and they denied your case. That time is not the time for you to pick up your bags and go home, because, when you go home, it's going to be a lot difficult. It may be very difficult for us to figure out how to get you back in, because when you left the U.S., you technically didn't have proper status, right? So you had filed to remove conditions and it was denied. So then at that time, that's when you decide to leave for years. What you should have done is find out, is there a different way to file this application so that I can at least be able to get a 10-year green card. Then once you would have gotten a 10-year green card, if you still felt home blues, if you still felt like you miss home, you miss whichever country you're from and you want to go home, fine, you would have been okay. Because with a 10-year green card, you remember, you can go home for 6 months. Sometimes you can go home even for up to a year if you have a 10-year green card, right? You would just have needed to get proper permission. So in other words, with a 10-year green card, you could leave for a much longer time and be fine. All right. So that's just a classic example. Okay. And last but not least, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Let's stop marrying people for papers. I know I get mixed reviews. I know there's people who say that's not realistic, but in my profession, I see that most times, more likely than not, it backfires on you. So stop marrying people just for the sole reason of papers. Now, let me tell you what the law states. The law states that if you marry someone and you love the person, right, but you also need papers, there's no issue there. So in other words, the law states that it's a criminal, it's an issue. It's only an issue, let me put it that way, when the only reason why you married your spouse was to get papers. So that's what I mean when I say stop marrying people for papers. If you know the only reason you're marrying this person is for papers, that's a problem, and that continues to be a problem. And if your friends would tell you the truth, they would tell you that it almost backfired on them. Let's say if it works for them, if they were to tell you the truth, it cost them a lot for it to work for them, or maybe it almost backfired on them, or there are those friends who tried it and it backfired on them, but will tell you to do it. So let's stop doing that. If your sole purpose is to marry someone for papers, more often than not, it doesn't work. And I always use this illustration to say, I always state it like this. And the reason I say that, and I can confidently say that, is I've gone to many interviews. When I tell you that the average immigration interviewer has been doing this for a long time and can see the lines coming from a mile away, they can see the lines coming from a mile away. All right. So I don't know who you're listening to, but maybe you need a lawyer to tell you this stuff is not working. And while we're on the subject of vow, let me tell you something else. This is how a lot of people end up in a situation where, like, we haven't, I don't want to put it that way. Let me let me find the best way to put it. Someone can tell when you're just marrying them because you need something from them, and they'll take advantage of it. Let me just leave it that way. So the person you're marrying can tell, even if you try to hide it with time, they can tell if the only reason why you married them was for papers. And let me tell you, they're gonna milk you for it. They're gonna make you pay. So again, I don't know who you're listening to, who's in your ear, but I really trust I'm speaking to someone today. You may be in the worst situation ever, but trust me, everything comes with a cost. Marrying someone for papers comes with a cost, and it doesn't only just cost you money. It costs you emotional pain, heartache, psychological pain. Some people catch STDs from those relationships. You can't really easily undo an STD. You can't easily undo the fact that you caught AIDS from somebody you married just for papers. Meanwhile, the person knew they had AIDS when you were marrying them for papers. They knew they had an STD. They knew this. But since they could tell you were trying to take advantage of them, backfired on you. They didn't tell you. They didn't tell you that they got an STD, they have AIDS. There are people who lose their minds in these relationships. So I always say, especially to my Africans, what's the good of getting a 10-year green card or a green card? In fact, usually you don't even go into a 10-year green card. Usually, if you marry someone for papers, immediately, first of all, you'll go into a 2-year conditional green card because you're married just for only 2 years. I mean, you're married for less than 2 years when you file the paperwork. So let's say, what's the good of you getting a 2-year conditional green card when you end up in the mental asylum, or you end up with mental issues, or you just about lose your mind because of this fake marriage you entered into? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point of you having a 2-year conditional green card when by the time you get it, you won't be able to even enjoy it? You'll have STD or AIDS, or you have some issue that you develop from this marriage. So, I mean, we just don't think about it. But in other words, I'm telling you, practically speaking now, that everything we do has a cost. And if you do something like that, just make sure you've counted the cost. Make sure you're able to take whatever will come with this, with you just marrying somebody for papers. Because we don't think about that. We're just thinking about, oh, but I'll get the green card. Well, first of all, you're not even going to get a 10-year green card. You're getting a 2-year conditional green card. And then you're still going to have to file another process after that to get a 10-year green card. We don't think about that. So it's not just oh, I'm just giving a year to this thing or 2 years and I'll get my papers and I'll be done. We're talking about a couple of years. Because these days, the process to first of all get a 2-year conditional green card through marriage, it takes a couple of years. It takes time, most cities. And then after that, after you get your 2-year conditional green card, let's say it works, you're still going to have to remain married to this person again, then to get your 10-year green card. So, and if you divorce, there's a higher standard to show that you didn't just marry this person for papers. Think about these things. I'm just saying. Let's think about these things. I'm just saying. Now, I know there are people who say, well, I had no choice. Great. If you're listening to me and you've already done this, just let it pass. Just ask the Lord for mercy. Let's move forward. You've already done it. Nothing you can do to go backwards. I'm focusing. I'm targeting the people who haven't done anything. I'm targeting the people who have friends in their ears. I'm targeting those people. I'm targeting the people who still have a say in this matter, who haven't done it yet, but your friends are telling you to do it, putting pressure on you. Well, me, I'm a lawyer, and I would tell you, I would advise against it. I would strongly advise against it. All right. And then I would also finally say, vow wasn't meant for people who are in an abusive relationship. It was never made to be something people take advantage of when you've tried to marry someone for papers and then he backfires, and then now you go see a vow lawyer. It was never made for that. And in fact, even with vow, we still have to first of all prove that you entered this marriage for valid reasons. We can't undo that. So even with vow, the first requirement is, first of all, was the marriage valid? Then once the marriage is valid, then we have to prove that your spouse was abusive or toxic, and or that you had marital problems, and that the reason why was because you're an immigrant. All right. But the first thing we have to prove, again, before we even talk about the abuse, is, was this marriage valid? And did you enter this marriage for valid reasons? Not many of our lawyers will tell you that, but I will tell you. I will tell you. I'm telling you the truth. File a vow application, you will see they will ask you, how can we be sure this marriage is valid? Like, what, provide evidence to prove this marriage was first of all entered for valid reasons. Okay, because I told you our USCIS is smart, and they know how to get you. So especially for us, they don't ever make an issue with us proving your abuse. I told y'all, because I'm Vow Queen. I mean, this Vow Queen team, we do a great job with that. But where they come at, they always ask us is, okay, so can you prove this marriage is valid? They will ask my client, prove this marriage is valid. Like, did this person really enter this marriage for valid reasons? All right. And so I'm just speaking to those who haven't done it yet. If you've already done something like this, it's nothing you can do. Don't feel bad about it. It's already done. Ask the Lord for mercy. Consult an immigration lawyer. See how you can move forward. But this live is speaking to those people who are still listening to your friends. And on that note, one of my great favorite clients just received an I-360 vow approval a few weeks ago. I'll never forget when we had this consultation some time ago. I don't want to tell you exactly when. When we first had the consultation, I still remember our consultation, and I still remember we had a follow-up consultation after that. And he told me that all his friends, quote, told him, first of all, vow is for women. That lawyer is lying to you. Vow is for women. Men don't qualify for vow. And his friends, same so-called friends, kept telling him, I don't think that lawyer is good for you. She doesn't know what she's doing. Well, thank God he listened to me, because his vow is approved now. So, and I have so many examples of people like that who told me, man, everybody around me, even my family, kept telling me I'm doing the wrong thing. They've never heard about VAWA. VAWA doesn't apply to men. Oh, I heard that with VAWA, I need a police report. All these things I'm telling you are false. They're not true. I heard that with VAWA, I need a police report. I heard that VAWA doesn't really work. I heard that VAWA is harder than getting a green card through a spouse. So false. And so that is so not true. It is not easier to get a green card through your spouse. It is not. Okay? There is no such thing. All right? The only time I can say that is true is if truly, well, I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say Dixon. That's not true. Let me just put it out. It's not true. Okay? So there is no such thing. As long as you qualify for VAWA could very well be easier than getting a green card through your spouse. I've seen it happen. All right. And again, I want to throw this out there that VAWA was not made for those people who are just taking it as a cop-out. That's not what it was made for. It was made for those who genuinely entered their marriage for valid reasons, and then it turned bad, it turned abusive, or you began to have issues, and immigration didn't want you to get stuck, and then therefore they provided VAWA. All right. So, I mean, I could just go all day about the issues and the mistakes people make. But the biggest issue I see is listening to the wrong person, or listening to people who are not really your friends. And all these people, like for instance, one of my favorite clients just told you about, said that his friends told him vow doesn't apply to men, vow doesn't work, vow is hard to win on. All those people who said those things, first of all, they were saying things that are not true. And they also said, I heard you need a police report for vow. She's lying to you. You need a police report. Again, false. But all these people who said all these false things, all those so-called friends, guess what he told me? He said, we don't even talk anymore. I realized those aren't even my friends. Those are people who didn't even mean me well. I don't even know why I was listening to them. Just saying. So are you sure the person you're listening to has your best interest, has your back, actually wants to see you doing well? Right? And that's the other reason why you want to speak to someone neutral. Speak to a lawyer and get two. If you're unsure of what your lawyer, the first lawyer said, go seek a second opinion and see. Get a second opinion and see. That's my 2 cents. All right. All right. So I'm gonna start taking some questions now. Y'all talked a while, but I think it was necessary. So stop marrying people just for papers. In most often than not, it backfires, or it's gonna cost you a lot, even if you get it. Number two, stop listening to your friends instead of just seeking proper legal counsel. And then I always say, after seeking proper legal counsel, seek a second opinion. If a lawyer tells you something you're not sure of, in your spirit, you have a spirit. So in your heart of hearts, your spirit will be like, I don't know if this lawyer is telling me the truth. If you have that feeling, seek a second opinion. No problem. Seek a third opinion. No problem. They do that in the medical field. The medical field, when you go, let's say if you go and get checked and they tell you have cancer, you're not just probably going to take that. You're going to go and see another doctor, and you're going to have the other doctor confirm, oh, yeah, it is true. You're going to have a third doctor confirm it before you really take it in. So same approach with legal matters. If someone tells you something, especially that is hard or difficult, or you think, I'm not sure, I don't know if I can trust this person, seek a second opinion. And if that lawyer really has your best interest in heart and really means you well, they wouldn't mind you seeking a second opinion at all. If they really mean you well, if the lawyer you saw the first time really meant you well, wouldn't mind you seeking a second opinion at all. All right? Wouldn't mind at all, because they know you're still going to come back. They're telling you the truth. All right. And then the other thing I told y'all is stop leaving the country. Stop leaving the country for months or for years without knowing how you're going to get back in. So that means if you don't have a travel permit, you don't have a proper travel advance parole, you don't have a green card in hand, all right, or your green card has expired. If you're in one of these three situations, don't be just leaving the country because life is hard. You're depressed. Things didn't go out initially as you expected. I told y'all, seek an immigration counsel's help. Even seek two people's advice on how you could fix your immigration status so that you can get a 10-year green card at the very least, all right, before you start leaving the country for long periods of time, all right. And I also told you, if it's a situation where you're just really not sure, and even maybe other lawyers are telling you things that you're not sure how it's going to work out, and you're homesick, you're depressed, all these things are going on, and you just think of going home. Let me just go home, I'll figure it out and come back in. If you're in that situation, I also told you, especially if you're a Christian, I believe everything is spiritual. Pray about it, fast about it, ask God, okay, God, is this something, are you the one who brought me to the U.S.? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Because if this is where I'm supposed to be, then Lord, you provide a solution. You provide somebody that can help me. And then I'm gonna end my my nice long lecture today by stating something I've stated before on those on my Wafula Speaks videos, my inspirational videos. I always say, and I've seen it to be true even in my own life personally, when it's the right time for you to get help, you will find the right person to help you. When it's the right time, I have seen it to be so. God will somehow lead your steps to the right person, the right people who will be willing and able to help you. When it's not your time yet, or when you're rushing things, or when you're desperate to get things done at your own time, you always, most often than not, end up in error. Because you're desperate, and because first of all, you're not even thinking properly. You're just making desperate decisions. And then you're also forcing things. Maybe it's not even the right time for you, but you're forcing things. Whenever you force things, or whenever it's not your time and you're trying to be desperate, you're just desperately looking for that green card, desperately looking for that American dream. Whenever you're desperate, be very, very careful, because you're going to most likely end up making an error. You're going to end up either marrying the wrong person, or you're going to end up with the wrong lawyer or something. Something's just going to go wrong because you're making decisions out of desperation. You're making decisions like, I just want this green card, just want this green card. I'm speaking to somebody today I know. If you're that person, just ask the Lord to calm you down. Enter some rest on that matter. Come to some point of peace. Like, you know what? It's going to come. It's going to come. I'm just going to keep doing what I can, but it's going to come. If you can change your mindset and stop being desperate, stop chasing that green card, it'll come. Same thing with money. You've heard that if you chase money, you'll never get it. So true. So true that I know it to be. I know that to be a real life reality. Whenever you're chasing money, it is always so elusive. It's like you're trying to hold something that's never there. If you're chasing money, you'll never find it. But when what you're chasing is helping people, when what you're chasing is being a good person, when what you're chasing is fulfilling your purpose, you're going to get it. You're going to get whatever you want out of life when your focus is right, when your mind is right. When your mind is on helping people, when your mind is on, man, the world has issues, how can I help? When your world is on, man, I see in my field or in my career, this is missing. I'm going to think about how I can fix this problem. When your mind is on fixing a problem, all right, being a problem solver, being a solution to people, when your mind is on making this world a better place, it doesn't even matter what religion you're in. I'm telling you, money will come. And it'll come in so much, man, it'll just keep coming. You'll be like, dang, what's going on? It'll be overflowing because your mind is right. And same thing with that green card. When your mind is right, or your mindset is right, when your mind is not just on getting whatever I gotta do to get that green card, whatever I gotta do to get that paper, I'm telling you, you're gonna go through hell and back to get that green card, and you may not even get it. First, if you do finally get it, it'll be after many years of struggles or many things. It'll be after so much problems and wahala. When had you just calmed yourself down and focused on, I don't know, maybe going to school, finding a way to go to school, finding a way to better yourself while you're waiting or while things aren't working out. I'm telling you, at the right time, God will lead you to the right people who will be willing and able to help you. That's my quote, y'all. Y'all can put that. They need to put that on Hallmark. At the right time, God will lead you to the right people who will be willing and able to help you at the right time. But it's got to be at the right time. And the right time, in short, is usually at a time when your mind is right. When your focus is right, it's going to come. It's going to come. And even if you're not my client, I know you're going to tell me, you're going to call me one day, or you're going to come live and tell me you were telling me the truth. When your mind is right. So today, as I'm talking, or should I say preaching, I'm thinking too about myself, about my own personal life. Like, where in life is my mind not right? Where do I need to shift my mindset so that things can work out well for me? Where? Because that's the key. That's the key. And, especially if you're a spiritual person, so many things can keep you down in life. But when your mind is right, things begin to flow. I'm telling you, take that to the bank. When your mind is right, you'll get the money you want. You'll get the green card. You'll get the life you want when your mind is right. And when your heart is right. When your mind and your heart is right. All right. So I'm okay. I'm done preaching now. I'm going to start taking some questions. I'll start taking some questions. Oh Lord, some dudes over here talking about a question on you. I'm over here preaching out talking about Anyway, is there any questions you guys want me to answer? Any immigration questions you want me to answer? Anything you're burning for me to answer on the topics we've discussed? Remember, I told you stop marrying for papers. These are things that mess people up themselves. All right, immigration can see the lies coming. Stop hiding. I forgot to say this. Stop hiding your kids on your application. If you have children at home, stop lying about it. Put it on your application. How many children? How many kids? Yeah. Stop lying about it, okay? Uh, for some people in some West African countries, specifically Nigeria, I can say because most of my clients are Nigerian. If you're Nigerian, stop relying on your spouse to get you your divorce certificate. If you're getting a divorce, make sure you're part of the process because Nigeria right now has a huge issue with fraudulent divorce certificates, and it's one reason why your application it's really a main reason, actually, to be honest, why your application could be denied, because immigration could simply find before you marry this person that you're currently married to or you want to marry, you never had the legal capacity to marry them because you're still married in Nigeria. And why is that? Because you relied on your spouse to get you that divorce certificate instead of you being involved yourself. Okay, it's just a general rule to always remember that once you and your spouse are no longer in good terms, it's your own responsibility to make sure you get your own proper divorce certificate. This is just a shout out to my Nigerians. To my Kenyans, let's stop hiding kids on the application. Stop hiding kids on your applications. Stop hiding marriages on applications. That's to all Africans. Stop hiding the fact that you're married before. If you're married before, you need to put it on there. Now, of course, there's some nuances I've discussed before, like if you're married traditionally versus if you're married legally. Those are two different things. I've discussed that before. I mean, especially in our countries. So, for instance, if it was just a customary marriage, I mean, you could disclose it on your immigration application, but you wouldn't really be required to provide a divorce certificate if it was a customary slash traditional marriage. If it was just a come we stay type of marriage, we call that come we stay marriage in Kenya. Or in other words, if it was just a marriage between two families, your two families just decided that you and your wife can be husband and wife, or your two families just decided that you and your husband can be husband and wife, and you started living together, you had children together, but you never went to a court, never got legally married. So since you never legally married, then you didn't really need a divorce for that one, right? You would still disclose it, but you didn't need a divorce for that. It was a traditional customary marriage, right? But for everybody else who was married legally in your home country, you need a proper divorce. And if you're Nigerian, you would do well to hear me out. Hear me out well. Go and check your divorce certificate. If you're married and divorced from Nigeria, go and check that divorce certificate. Make sure it's valid before you submit it to immigration. Yes, I'm taking questions. Yes, I'd love to take some questions. Just talking because y'all ain't asking no questions. Oh my God, where y'all been? I've been Wolf. I've just been talking about for many minutes. No, you don't need a police report. Not at all. Okay. And I'm sure that most of my clients don't have police reports. So that's the answer to Abel Wolf. Okay, so dude, man, now this person threw me off. What was I talking about now? Someone remind me. I have completely went blank. Anyway, is there any questions? I guess it was important if no one reminds me. Because like literally now I was in the middle of a sentence when I answered that question. Should have just waited because now I can't remember. I can't remember what I was saying. Can Val be denied twice? Guys, I'm taking questions. If I would love if you come live, but this one I'll answer. Yes, anything can be denied twice. Any application can be denied twice. If you didn't, if it was denied the first time and then the second time you didn't overcome the reasons why they denied it the first place, yes, of course it could be denied twice. Any application can be denied twice. Really. All right, guys. If you want to ask a question, all these questions come live, and if not, then we'll end it here at 10:56. So I'll give it like one more minute. If you want to ask a question, come live and ask a question. Let's make it lively. That's how I prefer to answer questions, as you already know. That's already my reputation on the streets. So you don't even have to act like you didn't know. You know that. If you didn't know, now you know. So if you have a question, one more minute, giving you one more minute to come live, ask your question. And if not, I'll take it. You don't really want me to answer your question. And then if not, you can schedule. You can just simply call my office number, schedule a phone call station. I have been on here talking for a while. It would be nice to have some interaction. If you have a question, you want to come live to ask your question. If not, we'll take it from there. Okay, guys, everybody's coming live. So we'll come live another day and I can take live questions. All right, guys, thank you, guys. Have a great day. Remember, next time when I come live, if you want me to answer your question, the best guarantee for me to answer your question is for you to come live and answer me the question. Ask the question live. All right. And like I always say, if it's a consultation question, I will tell you that's a consultation question, schedule a consultation. And otherwise, share this video with anyone you know that may need to hear what I said. I discussed so many issues and so many things that are keeping us behind the brown skinned people. I'm not just talking about Africans, I'm talking about Jamaicans, everybody, Caribbeans, anyone of color. I'm telling you, we are really late to so many things in life. You know, my people perish for lack of knowledge is what the Bible says. Because when I tell you vow, people have been filing vow many, many years since the 90s and been winning, getting 10-year green cards, and we're just starting. It's it's a wonder. I mean, it's been around. When I say it's been around, I mean it's been around, but we're just getting to it, which is leading me back to one of my main points. Let's stop listening to your friends who don't mean you well in the first place. Most of them. Go and seek a proper immigration counsel's advice. And then always, if possible, seek a second opinion. Do that. You'll be fine. Same way you do when you go see a doctor and they give you some news, some bad news, or some news you're not sure of. You go seek a second opinion. Bye, guys.